Hey everyone, it's Jason. Today we are doing an unboxing for another game in the Arkham Horror series storyline, the Arkham Horror Files stories. This is Elder Signs. So a little bit older of a game. I don't think they're making any new copies or any new versions of it anymore, but with the resurgence of the board game hitting version 3, and now they're making a revised edition of the base game of the card game. Maybe there'll be some extra expansions or something like that for this. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But this is a dice game, which is something a little bit different. But like all the other things, there's all the same investigator and characters and the same like Cthulhu and Elder Gods mythos. So we're going to jump in. We're going to take a look at this. So yeah, what you're doing is you're working co-op to try and find Elder Signs, which are the star symbols. And you're trying to seal the gates to let the old ones, the ancient ones out. So a bunch of different components and cards. And good, you visit various areas, various locations, and you're trying to complete little quests by rolling dice. Like there's a board setup. Looks like a lot. It's not too bad. I mean, it's an Arkham game. If you're familiar with any of the other ones, you're going to know there's going to be a ton of stuff. The rulebook does a really good job of explaining how stuff does, like going through the Ancient Ones cards, what they do, the adventure cards, how to complete those, what different tokens mean. You have different things you have to roll to solve certain puzzles or mysteries. Just does a really good job of explaining how the dice work. Here's what they can land on. Here's actually saying, like, here's an example of how you can complete that. Even mentioning sometimes, you might want to fail on purpose just because it might be more beneficial in the end. And then it mentions all this other stuff. There's a clock, there's a timer phase in there. How you can, like, set dice aside for later. Locked dice, items, things like that. There's spell cards that hold dice. It's a Yahtzee-ish mechanic, I would say. You get your different investigators. You can be devoured, which means you lose. There's a Doom Tracker, Mythos cards, all common phrases. Place enemies down, monsters can occasionally appear. And if you have to battle the Ancient One, which you really don't. And it even says in here that if you have to fight them, you're probably going to lose. It's going to be really hard for you to win because if you're already damaged before you have to start fighting, you're going to take more damage every turn. And that quick breakdown of all the different symbols. It's always really good to have. Plus, I love when they do this. They do a breakdown of what's actually on the die. So you can see what's on all 6 sides, so you have an idea of why you want to use a certain die versus another one. Alright, so we're just going to hop in here. We're going to look at some components first. Then we'll jump into the different cards and a little bit more explanation there. So I use these tackle boxes to hold all my stuff. So there's going to be a Mythos clock. So it's going to tick down various parts of the game. It's going to swing over, but it only counts the actual 4 times, because the core concept of the game is you're in a museum and you're trying to figure out stuff in this museum, so the museum's only going to be open for certain times of the day. Is sort of the idea of it. And it's not 12 turns, it's every 4 rotations. Then a midnight effect happens and bad things happen. So we got a pile of our dice. And you primarily only roll the green ones, so your common dice. Your yellow one has a little bit better symbols. Your red one has even better because there's a wild on there. And you have various items that let you roll extra dice. Items in this game are very important. When you get them, you're going to want to use them. Not just sit on them and hold them like, oh, I might need this later. No, because every time you complete new cards, you gain more stuff. So, of course, we got our typical little hearts for our health, our brains for our sanity, got a bunch of Elder Sign tokens, We also get these little shoe prints, which are clue tokens, which let you reroll dice, like extra rerolls. And we got these little tiny Doom tokens, which keep track on the boss cards. Some of these I have, these are mixed from all the expansions in there, so like the different... Oh, no, these aren't. These are all the regulars. There's the investigators. I haven't mixed the expansions in yet. They get little investigator tokens. They use to move around on the boards and stuff. And I think you can get little stands for them too, so they can stand up on there. But that's the different card. Then we got monster tokens, which we'll get into a little bit later. Get that board out of the way. First things first is we're going to have an entry card. So it's double-sided, it's the same on both sides. This is where investigators start, and they can come back between turns. So every turn you get a move between different adventure cards. These are going to be adventure cards. Or you can move back here and you can spend stuff. So you can spend trophies that you've earned to either you can heal, either one for free, or you can pay trophies to heal more. If you're dying, so you can get back to health. Search the lost and found by gaining different items. Or you can just spend trophies to for sure get them. So it's the lost and found, you have to roll a die, and you could potentially lose stuff. You could get one thing, or you can just spend trophies to for sure get something. The big one down here is spending 10 trophies for one elder sign. So that's a great way if you save up a bunch, if you don't have to spend them, to just get that one, maybe two final ones. I wouldn't sit there and be that your main focus to getting elder signs though, because you'd probably never succeed. Alright, so let's look at some of our cards here. So we're going to start off, we're going to have our Ancient One cards. So this is your Doom tracker here. So every time it says add a counter to the Doom, you add one. And if it shows, depending on what symbol it shows is what happens. You'll add either a monster or you'll add another Doom counter. So it just keeps increasing. The attack is only done during, if you're actually fighting them, 12 elder signs to beat them. If you're fighting them, you have to roll these dice. Every time you get one of these die, you get to remove one Doom counter. And the idea is you have to remove Doom counters before they do. But every time they defeat someone or it hits midnight, they get to add another Doom counter. So if they keep defeating you, they get to keep adding counters. And as they defeat you, you don't get to come back. So you have less and less chances. So fighting these guys is really hard. You have Shub Niggurath, the Goat of the Blackwoods. All monsters have one additional task added to them consisting of a terror icon. So yes, and that's a regular effect. So that's not always be in play when you're fighting them. Other than that, like the locked elder sign symbol on the back. We have Equitha, the Icy Winds. And you can see how his symbol is different. I'm not going to read your attacks, but I'm just going to read your special abilities. Each time an investigator uses either a unique item or a spell, he loses one stamina. So it hurts you for using your spells. Of course, we have Cthulhu, Dreams of Madness. Reduce each investigator's maximum sanity and stamina by 1. We have Haster, the King in Yellow. Each time an investigator would successfully resolve Otherworld cards, add 1 Doom token to the Doom track. And it says an X here. It says, when Haster awakens, the X in his battle task is equal to the number of monsters in play. So basically, when he comes out, the more monsters there are, the worse it is. And then we have Azahoth. Absolute Destruction. If Azahoth awakens, the game ends and the investigators lose. So he comes out, you just straight up lose. You don't even get a chance to fight him, which is kind of a fun way to maybe start it, I guess, because it gives you that thing. Then we're gonna have some investigator cards. The backs, backs look like they're all broken. Your jars are broken, and you flip them over. There's the front side. So we're gonna get Mandy Thompson, the researcher. So we're gonna get starting items. This is clues or a calming item. She doesn't get a gun necessarily. Just she drop from the common item card pile. Once per day, after any player has rolled, Mandy may reroll 2 dice before determining the active player was able to complete the task. So she really helps you complete your tasks. There's a lot of investigators to start in this set, which is really awesome. Monterey Jack, the archaeologist, gets some unique items, which are the swords. Each time Monterey gains 1 or more unique item after setup, he gains 1 extra unique item. And so their abilities are going to also determine which quests or missions or adventures they should be going on. Gloria Goldberg, the author, so she gets a spell book, magic. Psychic sensitivity. When attempting to resolve an otherworld card, Gloria may add yellow and red dice to her dice pool for free. So she's going to want to go to those for sure. Vincent Lee, the doctor. Once per day at the start of any player's turn, Vincent may cause any one investigator of his choice, including himself, to regain 1 stamina. And then Carolyn Fern, the psychologist. Once per day at the start of any player's turn, Carolyn may cause one investigator of her choice, including herself, to regain 1 sanity. Bob Jenkins, the salesman. Each time Bob gains 1 or more common items after setup, he gains 1 extra common item. Ash Can Pete. So he has an ally. And his starting ally, he gets to start with Duke, specifically. Just kind of neat. It's his dog. Scrounge. Each time Pete gains 1 common item, unique item, or spell after setup, he may instead choose to gain 1 clue token, common item, unique, or spell. So anytime he gains 1, he can choose instead to gain a different one. So he gets a little bit different choices. Amanda Sharp, the student. Studious. During her turn, Amanda may complete any number of tasks per roll instead of only 1. Amanda starts with 2 items drawn from the spell, common, or unique decks in any combination. So you get to choose what you get to start with a little bit better. Plus, what her ability means is so... for example, on this adventure card, if you roll a dice, you can complete the top one or the bottom one. She lets you potentially complete both of them in the same round. So she's really powerful for that reason. With the... yeah. So she's always one I'd say, including your starting deck, your starting game, just because she's going to make the game a lot easier. Harvey Walters, the professor. Strong Mind. Once per roll during his turn, Harvey may change 1 die roll showing a terror icon to a lore result, which is really good. They're all really good abilities. Michael McGlenn, the gangster, once per strong body. Once per turn, he may change 1 die showing a terror to a skull icon, which I forgot what that was called. Is it going to tell me on here? Apparel icon. Daryl Simmons, the photographer. Hometown advantage. Once per roll during his turn, Daryl may change the result of a die from 1 investigation to 2, from 2 to 3, on a yellow or red dice, a 3 to 4. So basically, he can up his numbers by 1. Dexter Drake, the magician. Each time Drake gains 1 or more spell after setup, he gains 1 extra spell. Joe Diamond, the private eye. Hunches. Each time Joe spends 1 clue token, he gains a 2nd free reroll, as though he had spent a 2nd clue token. Sister Mary, the nun, guardian angel. She may ignore any lingering effects of Mythos cards. She may ignore locked dice icons during her turn, allowing her to add them to her die pool as normal. At the end of her turn, all locked dice return to their dice icons. So that's really helpful too, yeah. Some of these definitely can see. It's the problem is you say, oh, this is really beneficial, but they're more beneficial or less beneficial sometimes depending on what cards are out. Trust Fund. Jenny Barnes, the Galante. At the start of the resolution phase, Jenny may discard one common item, clue token, or spell to add a yellow or red die to her dice pool. And Kate Winthrop, the Scientist. Monsters cannot appear during Kate's turn. In addition, she is immune to all terror effects. And then each one has different sanity and health, which is also going to make a difference on what adventures they go on. So let's start looking at these. So they're all going to have the same backs. I got more elders. These green ones are Otherworld cards, which we'll get to those later. All the adventures are the same on the back. This changes when we get to the expansion, some of the expansions, which makes the game really fun. So you have to check out those videos. And the reason why that makes that fun is because it's not just adding more cards to this pool, taking some out. You're not just playing the same game hoping to see new cards. You're literally playing completely different scenarios. Here's some more Elder Gods. I thought there was more. We have Naruhotep, 1,000 Masks. During setup, add the mask monster markers to the monster cup. So he's kind of unique because there's certain monsters that only he gets to use. Yod Sloth, the key and the gate. The investigator would suffer penalties on the Otherworld card. That card is returned to the box and not used for the rest of the game. If Otherworld deck becomes depleted, Yod Sloth awakens. And then Yig's Anger. Each time an investigator either completes a task on a cultist monster marker or investigator is reduced to 0 sanity or stamina, the investigator loses 1 elder sign if they have any. So he kind of poisons you. Alright. Okay, now we can jump in and look at the location or the adventure cards. So, adventure cards, just to break these down really quick, you're going to have the name, Vermin in the Pipes, a little bit of story about large rats occasionally wander in the museum, drawn by the impending chaos. The 2 here is the number of trophies you earn if you beat this. These are the different dice you need to roll. So you need to roll 3 clue icons. They're probably not called clues. Investigations. Yeah. 3 investigations. And you can roll like a 1 and a 2 and add up to 3, or you can just roll a 3, or you can use a 4, any combination. But clearly, like, if you only have a 4, that might be one you want to save for a different, not maybe on this card, but a different card. You might want to save it for something else. Or rather than spending a 1 and a 2, you might want to re-roll and just hope to roll a 3. Because the way the game is played, just quick, so I want to do a whole breakdown. But you roll the die, you roll like your 5 dice, I think it's 5, and then you add them to it. So if I have a 3, I can put a 3 on here. And then I get to re-roll the dice. If I got a 3 in a skull, I can put a 3 in a skull down here instead. And then I get to re-roll the dice. If you can't add an icon to it, to re-roll the dice, you have to discard 1. So if I have 5 dice and I can't add, I don't get 3 or a 3 and a skull, and I can't add anything to this, I have to discard 1 dice, now I have to roll 4. And then what happens if you can't do it again, and you have to roll 3. So every time either you're putting a die on a card, or you're losing a dice from your pool at bare minimum. So you're always losing dice every roll. And this is where item cards become really important. You can hold dice on your investigator, so if I rolled a skull, if I didn't roll 3, I could put that on my character. I could be like, okay, now I can use this. Or you have spell cards that can hold them, so you can use them later. Yeah, it's just really important to kind of how you manipulate the dice. And then on the bottom here, it's going to show if you lose. So if you roll all your dice, you can't roll anymore, and you haven't completed all 3 of these, you have to take 1 physical damage, health damage. If you win, though, you get a clue and 2 common items. This is why I said it's important to just use your item cards. Because if you don't use them and you lose, you're just taking damage. But if you win, you can definitely do that. But it's also, that's what's going to make a difference on who should be doing this mission. So, Harvey Walters probably wouldn't be a very good person to do this particular, go and do this adventure, because he has 3 health. So if he loses, he's down to 2 health, if he hasn't already taken any. And then his ability lets him reroll for lore icons. Well, there's no lore icons, so that doesn't help him at all. Whereas someone maybe like Pete, who has 6 health, that's not going to be as big of a deal for him. Plus, if he gains 2 common items, he can change them to unique or spell icons if he wants. So there's going to be that difference there. So just depending on who you are, is which area you might want to work as. But again, it's also co-op, so you're working with your entire team. So everybody that's on your team gets to just, you can kind of work as a team, like, okay, who's going to go here, who might go here. Sometimes you might want to both go to the same area. In case, hey, you fail, I can jump on your spot too and at least help you out. I'm going to zoom this out a bit. We're missing the artwork on the top. So there's some rats in the pipes. Alright, next one we have is, you become that which you fear. The sickness and fear become so ingrained in me that I can no longer imagine a life without a dread. So this has an at midnight ability. Monster's going to appear. And that's just little white boxes. So when you play this, you're going to have to draw a monster token. And you're going to get a bunch of different stuff. So here you're getting Elder Sign, unique item, clue, and a monster will appear. So even if you win, you're still going to get a monster. And now here's the thing though, you can just sit there and keep avoiding doing this card if you really want. Like, you don't have to do it unless you really need that Elder Sign. So quickly, before we do any more of these, let's look at some of the let's look at the monsters. Just so we can see how that works. So as long as we got a card that shows it. So what happens if I have to draw a monster, I pull a monster out of the little bag, and then this little monster token gets set on my card like that, covers it in spots, and now I have those icons I have to take care of as well. And what this yellow lock is showing means that when that appears, you put the yellow die on there. Nobody can use the yellow die, regardless of items or whatever, until you beat this card. So like before I said, you could just avoid this card if you really didn't have to. Yeah, it limits your other options, except for the problem that Midnight a monster is going to keep appearing. So that's not going to be helpful either. But yeah, if you had this and you lose that yellow icon, you might want to run in here and take care of that as quickly as possible. And then on the back, you flip it over. It's going to say who this is. A little text above him. So this is a fire vampire. Amid the flames, I could see something small coming closer to me. And it gets you 1 trophy. And we're going to get a bunch of different ones like that. Zoom up, we'll look at those guys. So we're going to get, this one has a split, so it's either one of them. And that's going to be a zombie. Going to have the Migo. Gets you 0. Return a sparkler of the cup and gain 1 unique item. These guys are going to keep reappearing. We'll do this side first. The Bakahi. Some of these aren't terribly bad to fight. We have a Ghoul. Just 2 icons. I mean, they're not bad, but adding that extra stuff to the playfield makes it hard. I got a Shogoth, which gives you 2. Which is a little bit harder. So this one means you're going to have to play 1 lore, 1 do or terror icon, which are a lot harder because they're like only on some of the dice, and only one side. And you also have to lose 1 sanity. So again, this should be definitely a mission where you're going to want to watch, or adventure, you're going to watch who you send to it. The Dark Young. Ooh. The same thing with that one. So someone that has low sanity, whether it's just starting sanity is low or they're just taking damage, you're going to want to not put them in there. So this is one that has a mask on it. So this is part of the one god Nephihotep's. So it only goes in when you're playing him. Return this marker to the cup. Now when you have to, look at that. Terroring -2, -2. And this one's really hard. Two of them terror icons. It's a vampire. Dark Pharaoh. Not so hard to beat. Hunter of the Dark. This one, you have to advance the clock 3 times. So that just sucks, because I'll either put you right up next to where it's going to be midnight, or it'll send it past midnight. You got some more cultists. There's a bunch of those. Got another one. They're going to have the same icons every time. Got a Warlock. Return the Sparker to the cup and gain 2 clue tokens. That one locks a red die. Flying Pulp. Gains a 3. Ghost. Another cultist. And additionally, lots of the, some of the expansions, not all of them, they add more, item cards, ally cards, spell cards, and some more monsters. So they don't add more cards to the adventure, because you're playing a new adventure, you get to add all the other stuff, plus all the new investigators. There's a witch. It's just a definite good reason to buy those, just because you get extra bonus you can use in all the other games. The Bloated Woman. Lost 2 green die. That would actually be super terrible to get. An Elder Thing. 7. Turn the Clock and Galore. That would be really hard to beat. So some good items. But luckily the thing is, when you play these cards, you already know what's out there before you gotta go do it. So it's not like you're flipping it over and like, oh crap, I wasn't prepared for that. And then you lose, and then you can go back and see it. Maniac. Just one Doom. Another Cultist. The Dimensional Shambler. A Chthonian. The Black Mask. A 9. It's ridiculous. And High Priest. Like, I don't even think you can get them 7s and 9s without using reds and yellow dice. Alright, now we've seen all those, let's jump back in and go through all the rest of these adventure cards. And I'm going to not read the flavor text, just because I got a good stack of these. This isn't even the entire stack. I got a couple more in the box. Plus I got all the item cards to go through. So you got the Priest. There remains a Priest on high. Terror. So this is if you roll a terror icon. You have to do that getting the things. That's the bad side about having terror icons. If you roll them, some of them you need to complete things, but if you roll some of them, you have to do effects. Something is broken free. Like, you immediately fail this adventure. So you need 2 terror icons here, and this is going to add a monster. So what's unique about this monster versus this one is this one's just going to add that full monster. That one is going to cover up that one. When you add a monster. So it's kind of neat. And then you'll have to beat that one. I think the terror is if you have a terror left and you fail, I believe is what it is. And then you have to do the terror icon. So you get the opportunity to at least succeed first. At midnight, for each Otherworld card in your play, add 1 Doom token to the Doom track. Alright, so this is kind of transported by magic. So what this one's gonna do is at midnight, if there's Otherworld cards, it's gonna add Doom. So you want to beat this quick or beat the Otherworld cards quick. If you lose, you gain a Doom token and mental damage. If you win, you gain 2 spells and you add an Otherworld card. We have the Curator. At midnight, each investigator must either spend 2 trophies or lose 1 sanity and 1 stamina. Now, these are the ones you're going to focus on to get these Elder Signs. That's your ultimate goal, is to get the Elder Signs to beat the Ancient Ones. So you need to get like 12 to beat him. So that's more so your goal, but that's why some quests you might take over another one. Like this one, probably a really good one to run into. If you think you can beat it, because it does have 2 terror, and if you still have them, you're adding Doom tokens. So it's a plus and minus. If you don't think you have enough good stuff to beat that, then you're just going to be taking damage and adding Doom, or rolling terror icons and adding Doom instead of gaining 2 stars. Please do not touch the exhibits. But this one might be a quick, easy one to jump in, roll it, get 2 items. Hallway on fire. Gate to elsewhere. So this is fairly easy to do, depending on what monster pops up. But you also get some clues and an Otherworld token. And the Otherworld are really good for getting Elder Signs. This one adds a bunch of monsters, but you get some Elder Signs. The public lavatory. I don't know, yeah, there's a wizard in the toilet, I guess. The graveyard. The halls of the dead. Late night break-in. There's something in the basement. The hedge maze. A clay pond. Horrible visions. Add 2 Doom Conquerors to the Doom track. We need to find help. So this one here has a locked red die. So when this comes in, you take that red die, you put it on this card. And no one can use it till it's beat. So this is probably one you might want to jump in and beat as quickly as possible. Lights out. Don't fall asleep. The loading dock. So like these last 2. Well, this one has a monster potentially, but the gift shop. But they're like common item or unique item. They're not super hard to beat. But sometimes it's what you need to do. Just spend your turn doing, get an item. Get a icon. Then you can go and heal up with that. Or, do whatever you need to do. This one locks a green dice. Dang, I would jump on this one immediately. Because having that one less green die really is going to make it hard. Because that's all you're rolling. The red and the yellow aren't so bad. Because you have to spend an item card generally to use them. So you might not have an item card. So if like, let's say you're Mandy Thompson and you don't have any item cards. Well, then having the red and yellow dice locked doesn't affect you at the moment. So you can ignore them. But the green dice is always going to affect you. Forgotten Knowledge. Similar in the same way is that you can use spell cards to hold dice, and we'll look at those when we get there. So an investigator can borrow a dice during their action phase where they're trying to investigate at a location. They can put aside one of their die if they fail, and then that way they can use it for the next round. So if they're like, oh, I really needed that one icon, it's hard to roll, I can keep that. That's great. But another investigator's at your spot, they can do the same thing too. So you can hold up to 2 dice potentially, if you're not doing very well. But you put them on a spell card, which does the same thing. The difference is at the end of the round, the investigators have to put their dice back. The spell card holds that spell, but anyone can use it anywhere. The only downside is it's also one less die you have to roll. So if you hold a green one, then you're limiting what other people can do. So blood on the floor. This one gets you an ally. The security office. Ancient relics. Tempest in a teapot. The Medusa exhibit. The unnatural habitat, because again, this is in a museum, so you can still watch these are museum themed. A terrible discovery. The administration's office. We have just the elder sign, which is a great one. A hidden passage. Definitely that. 3/3, fairly easy to get. Skull, lore, and then the 2 elder signs. The missing records. The guided tour. Again, a fairly easy one to get some clues and item. Stay away from the windows. More of a gamble on this one for 2 elder signs. A secret gathering. Another thing I love about these cards is because having both the Arkham card game and the Arkham board game, is a lot of this artwork is reused from different games. It's kind of neat to see how they're reused in different ones. When night falls. The writing on the wall. The storage closet. A mysterious tome. A gala in the Great Hall. Haunted by a shadowy figure. A peculiar specimen. The key to beyond. And the archives. Those are the adventure cards. Then occasionally we can open up portals to the other world, which are going to be more locations rather than quests. So we have Yugahoff. So they are definitely going to add higher stakes. But draws this. So this one's kind of neat because it's going to place a monster token right there. But then you still have to have that Doom Skull as well. Or the whatever skull. Peril. But it gets you 2 elder signs and 2 items. The Great Halls of Selenio. The Dreamlands. Another Dimension. The Abyss. City of the Great Race. Plateau of Leng. And Relay. Just that one though, it's awesome. You get an ally and 3 elder signs. Alright, then we have to look at all of the items. You know, there's a giant stack here. And I'm not going to go through a bunch of these, though. Because half of this deck here is Mythos cards. So they're all going to have the same back, so they don't get mixed up with the other cards. And so at midnight, you draw a new Mythos card. You're going to do the top ability first, so in Arcane Art, either add 1 Doom token to the Doom track, or the investigators as a group must discard 2 spells. And it says, closes the door. And this is the consistent effect. So the next time the clock strikes midnight, discard all Otherworld cards in play. Do not replace them. So basically that means you're going to try and clean Otherworld, complete it quick. And there are different ones like that. So like personal possessions, either add 1 Doom to the Doom track, or group must discard 2 common items. This says, brings good fortune. Investigators may ignore order arrows on adventure cards today. Oh, I didn't point that out, did I? Yes, I wasn't even looking for them. So some of the adventure cards will have this arrow here, which means you have to complete this one first, then this row. Same thing with that one. You have to do this one, this one, this one, which makes these harder cards to beat. Versus this, where you can complete either one. And that's just another thing you have to consider when playing through. So, and I'm not going to go through all these Mythos cards, but they're all like that. So it's horrible monster reveal a secret. A price too high brings forth horrors. I mean, I can just kind of slip through them quick. If you want to pop. So a lot of them are going to end up with the same thing, like Ignite the Stillness, no lingering effect today. They're going to have a lot of the same text on the tops and bottoms, just sometimes mixed together. So you get a lot of these ones where that stuff's not going to happen every day. The stars align. You get a bunch of this, like stars align, stars align, stars align, different effects on the bottom. Monster appears, no effect today, but you have to take penalties. And that one even locks a die for the day, so that kind of sucks. Those are the little Mythos cards. And again, if you're familiar with the other Arkham games, that's the bad stuff that happens every turn to kind of keep you motivated to keep doing stuff. So you're not just playing against the Elder Gods in their endgame, you're also playing against the daily things that are happening. Alright, then we're going to get ally cards. Little ally symbol on the back. And a Kolowski once per turn. And it allows you to reroll up to 2 dice. Each time you lose sanity, place 1 sanity on this card's dead. It can take 3 sanity tokens. There's Duke for good old Ash Can Pete. You may discard Duke instead of suffering an adventurer's penalty. Eric Colt, during your turn, ignore all sanity task requirements. Discard this when the Ancient One awakens. Professor Armitage. Place 2 spells on the Professor. When he joins you, you may use these spells if they were your own. Richard Upton Pickman. Place 1 stamina token on Richard Upton Pickman to change the die of 1 to from a peril to a lore. And you can take up to 4. Kind of wish they just put a little, like, health icon or sanity icon on them instead. Like a number, would be kind of a little bit quicker to read, but I guess other guys have different effects. Ruby Standards. Place 2 unique icons on Ruby when she joins you. You may use these items as if their own. Discard this card when you use all unique items on it. Thomas F. Malone, sorry. Place 1 sanity token on Thomas F. Malone to change from a lore to a peril. Tommy Melton Murphy. During your turn, ignore all stamina task requirements. Those are investigators. Now we're going to have a bunch of common items. So the gun. Just some whiskey. Discard this card instead of losing 1 sanity. Shotgun. After rolling, discard. Change the die result to a peril. Food. Discard instead of losing stamina. Old Journal. Gets you a yellow die. And now these are one-time effects. So like you play like the 45 automatic, you get 1 die for that series of rolling. Like your round of rolling, you're investigating, and then you have to get rid of it. So you have an axe, lucky cigarette case, knife, and revolver. Now they could have just went really cheap and just been like knife and add like 6 knives that are all the same thing. Whoops. We'll pick all them up later. But it's nice that they gave different names to all of them. So you have a Tommy gun, which gets you both red and yellow die. Dynamite, gets you some red die. Lantern. Alright, so that's our common items. I'm gonna pick up my pile I spilled. The only downside about sleeving cards, they get really slippery. But the upside is they also don't stick together, so it's, you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So we have the swords, which are the unique items. These are have special names. The Flute of the Elder God. After rolling, discard to defeat 1 monster. Healing Stone. Before rolling, discard to fully restore your health and your stamina and sanity. Blue Watcher of the Pyramid. After rolling, discard to change 1 result to lore. Cultus Gigules adds a red die. The King in Yellow adds a red die. Necronomicon adds a red die. After using this card, you gain 1 clue token. Book of Dryazin. So there's a few common ones that added red. A lot more unique that are going to add red. So an alien statue. The Nameless Cult. And Ruby of Riley. And one of the great things about red die is that symbol that they're actually showing right on there. The little guy with the gun. Or a cat, or whatever that symbol is. Then it's supposed to be an investigator holding a gun. That's a wild symbol. You can change it to whatever you need it to. Lamp of Alzray, but it only appears on red dice. The Sword of Glory, gets you both. Alright, now we're going to get into our spells. And they're going to have the book on the back and be purple. So spell, you can discard to fully restore any investigator's stamina. After rolling, discard to defeat 1 monster. What was that? Was called? Oh, I keep knocking this over. Cloud Memory. Discard to fully restore any sanity. That other one was called Bind Monster. We have Find Gate. Discard to draw 1 Otherworld card and place it below the 6 adventure cards. So it puts it in the pile of the adventure cards. So you might grab it quicker. The Voice of Ra. After rolling, discard to change 1 result to a die of your choice. Now these are the ones that hold the dies. So you just put that die on there, and then anyone can use it. And it stays persistently until someone uses it, and then this card's discarded. And you don't have to use it right away, so you can hold it until you want to use it. Hold the spell until you use it, but once you play it and you put a die on there, it stays on there until you use that die. Anyone can use it on anybody's turn. So if you use a green, it pulls everyone, you get one less green guy. There's times you're definitely going to want to do that. You're just not going to sit on it for 5-6 turns in a row. Flesh Ward, Wither, Enchant Weapon, Mists of Relay. And this one, the Dread Curse of Azoth, gives you 2. And finally, didn't quite have room on there for the very last one, which was Red Signs of Shig Mel. Now, I would probably more use this if someone's going to fail an adventure, like they don't have enough dice to complete it. Like, they have to have at least 3 dice, and they only have 2 dice left, so they can't do anything at all. Let them roll, and they're like, okay, we need a peril icon or a terror icon for something else. Put it on a spell at that point. And then, like, next time someone goes to do a different one, they can be like, hey, we already got one of these set aside, ready to go. That would be my suggestion. I mean, that's not always what you're going to do. Sometimes you might want to hold it during the middle of the thing. And sometimes you won't. Alright, so that was Elder Signs. You see all of them will have this, but only the green one has terror icons. But only this one has wild. But Beast are the only ones that have the 4. And 4 can definitely be helpful. A monster appears, add 1 doom to the counter. All your different stuff. Alright, so that's Elder Signs. Check it out. This is the revised printing. Just a note, so some of the things might be different if you get the original version, if you somehow pick that up, if you find it at a cheap sale or someone selling it used somewhere. And then check out the videos for the expansions. So like I said, they're going to have different adventure cards which are their own stories. For the most part, there's one expansion that just adds to this. Other than that, but they're all going to add new investigators, new item, couple new item and like spell cards, not a ton each. But it's going to have more content each game. So even if you buy one and you don't want to play that adventure, you can always go back to this one, but still use all the new cards. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.